Hi everyone, my name is Vess Rusev and this is episode 36 of the East Auckland Property Show. And today my guest is Simeon Brown, the MP for Pakuranga. Hi Simeon, how are you going?
G'day Vess, how are you? And congratulations, number 36 on your show. It's great to be back.
Awesome, thanks Simeon, thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well actually. Just bonding with the family, spending more time with
That's good.
with my girls, and I mean very positive about the whole thing. And I think it's great to spend time with family, and just a lot of people are using that time to keep in touch with their friends and family and people that they haven't spoken for years and years.
That's right. That's right.
So we need to embrace the current situation, and also from the business perspective, probably we will be doing business differently after this everything is over with the new normal. So we're just trying to do a little bit more of innovation and adapt to the new environment. So yeah, it's really good. So what I wanted to discuss with you is just because you have a bird's eye on what's happening currently in New Zealand and especially in East Auckland. Can you please tell us a little bit more about the Street Captains initiative that you started a couple of weeks ago and how this has been working so far?
No, would love to. And well, thanks for having me on, Vess. And it's great to be able to touch base with the community and to talk a little bit about what's happening in regards to the situation we're all finding ourselves in regarding COVID-19. So essentially we're in lockdown level 4, the highest level across the country. The key message is stay at home. And I guess that's why we're here in our homes talking to each other this way. I'd never heard of Zoom before before we went into lockdown, but now we all use it on a daily basis. But I guess the key thing locally, as the Member of Parliament, when we were looking like we were going to go into level 4, the key thing from my perspective was to ensure that our community could stay connected, and particularly to look out for those who need a little bit of extra help during this time. So what you've got essentially is we're all required to stay at home. We're only allowed to go out for essential needs. But there's a whole lot of other people who shouldn't be leaving their homes at all, particularly everyone over the age of 70. Those with immunocompromised health conditions should be avoiding any contact with the public in order to stop the spread of this virus, and particularly protect their health, because they're the most at risk from this disease. And so what we did is we set up what I call the Pakuranga Street Captains as part of the Pakuranga Connection Plan. And the idea was to electronically connect our streets so that people could get in touch with each other from a street level, look out for their neighbours, and then if there's any assistance which is required, particularly for those who can't get out to the shopping, that a neighbour could help out in those instances. So we've had over 150 streets signed up within a week and a half. We've had over 200 people put their hands up to say, look, I'd love to be a street captain. I know that you're doing it for your street, Vess, which is fantastic. I'm doing it for mine. And it's just become a great way. We've got a WhatsApp group going where we just keep in touch and discuss the issues of the day, keep each other informed, and then if there is a need, help fill that. So I know particular people on our street have been able to get someone else to do their shopping for them and just keep them connected. So I think it's a really positive way, and we've got to look for those positive things to keep us connected during this difficult time of isolation, because whilst we're isolated, we shouldn't remain socially isolated. We should keep in touch.
Yes, absolutely. And the other thing that I would like to touch on is how do you think the local businesses are coping with the whole COVID situation, and will they be able to survive and thrive after that?
It's a really good question, and I've been hearing from a lot of businesses recently. Some business owners who've been on the phone to me said they would never have ever thought they'd be asking for government support. And, some people have worked their whole lives to see their business basically come to a very difficult patch. And so it's a very difficult time for business people. What I think will, what I think will happen is there will be some support which will assist many businesses get through that, whether it's the wage subsidy. I do think there probably needs to be more support, and we may see more in coming weeks from the government. And that'll help keep some businesses going, or hopefully most businesses going during this time. But what you are seeing is you're essentially seeing everything turned on its head. People are at home. There's very few businesses which are able to operate. And essentially you think about all the small businesses which, typically, the Howick main road or in the shopping centres, they're not getting any revenue, but they've still got a lot of outgoings, whether that's the rent, the rates, a whole range of other fixed costs, which they still have to pay, along with the wages, which the government's providing some support to cover. So what we're seeing is essentially a very difficult business situation, very difficult business world. And, from my perspective, the key thing coming out of this is we need to keep as many of those businesses alive and as many people employed as possible, because the shape of our country will change. I mean, you think of tourism and hospitality, probably some of the most hardest hit. Tourism, because essentially the border's now shut to foreign tourists, and hospitality because we've all been told to stay at home. And so those two industries in particular are going to find it very hard to get back on their feet. And I say that because it's going to take some time before the borders will be allowed to open again, particularly if we manage to eliminate the virus here, whereas other countries haven't. And secondly, hospitality is going to struggle, because even if we move out of level 4 down to level 3, hospitality still can't open under level 3. So we're still going to be in a very difficult situation. So there's a lot of water to go under the bridge, a lot of change still to happen. But I just really, my heart goes out to all the business owners who've been working so hard over their lifetimes to build their business. They employ their staff because they care about their staff, and are really facing some really challenging times. And I'd say, look, keep in touch. I'm here to help if there's anything I can do to assist. But the key thing from my perspective is that as we do start to see the number of virus cases drop, that we allow more and more businesses which can safely operate to be allowed to operate, because we need businesses to start operating again soon in a safe way where they can, so that our economy can begin to recover.
And probably when everything is over, we can stay local, shop local, do everything local, just to make sure that we're supporting those businesses.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you're going to find, particularly local businesses are going to find this really, really hard, because they're often very small, only employ a small number of staff.
Yeah.
And they've probably been the hardest hit through this, particularly as the sort of the second phase. The second phase will allow a lot more online offering. We're now seeing allowed open. Yeah. But again, most of your local businesses don't have that set up, so they're not able to take advantage of that.
Yeah. And what is your main challenge at the moment, being on the MPF Pakuranga? How are you going in your daily
well,
work?
I think it's been a really challenging time for everybody. We've been overwhelmed in terms of how many people have been getting in touch with different requests. And I think what we're seeing now is some of those more challenging situations come through, and just trying to grapple with those. This lockdown has an enormous impact, not just on our economy, but on our society. Things like, one of the most challenging examples that I've had to face is the situation around funerals, which are banned. And, that's a real challenge for families who a loved one passes away and they're unable to hold a funeral. So that's probably one of the most difficult situations that we've had to deal with on a number of occasions already. And the government has loosened the requirements to allow the bubble to attend a funeral, but that's still only a very small portion of the family are able to be there. So there's some very difficult circumstances, and I guess I struggle with it when you can't hold a funeral, but you can line up with 500 other people at the supermarket. Yeah. And there's in my opinion, we really have to this lockdown is important, but sometimes you really sort of struggle with some of the hard edges of it.
Do you think we should do better at the border with the people coming from overseas? Or what is your take on that?
100% agree. Our biggest threat to new cases coming into New Zealand is from the border. The biggest risk is seeing more people coming into New Zealand with the virus and then spreading it to their family or to some others. Now, and so we should follow Australia's lead, which is everyone who arrives is quarantined for 14 days in a hotel. Yep, it feels a bit like being locked up.
Yeah.
But that's our biggest threat. If we want to get New Zealand's economy moving again, we need to shut down and stop the introduction of new virus cases into New Zealand, and that starts with quarantining at the border. Another thing we need to be doing much better of is more testing and more contact tracing. So making sure those people who've been in touch with others are appropriately quarantined themselves and isolated, so that we can stop the spread of this virus as soon as possible.
Yeah. Do you think the government will increase the 4 weeks lockdown to?
Look, I think like you, I don't have a crystal ball.
Yes.
But look, I think if we all follow the rules, if they do introduce quarantining at the border, if they do up the testing, if they do better contact tracing, I think we can exit level 4. But I think the key thing I say to people is coming back out of level 4 doesn't mean going back to normal. We'll move to level 3, and level 3 continues to be highly restrictive. Schools still aren't open, except for those workers of those children of essential workers. Hospitality is essentially still closed. There's a range of businesses which are still not able to operate at level 3. So this is going to take time. Even level 2 is incredibly restrictive. People over the age of 70 shouldn't be leaving their homes. So it's not going to be that we come out of level 4 and overnight we're in a different back to normal. It's going to take time, and I think the key thing is, we need to get the economy moving at the same time as making sure we do everything to stop this virus spreading. And getting the balance between those two is going to be a very tricky balance.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share, or?
Well, I think the key piece of advice for people is the COVID-19 website is incredibly helpful. It has all the information on pretty much everything that you might need. So I just encourage people to go to that website, covid19.govt.nz. It has advice. It's constantly being updated. When I'm getting questions, that's where I go to find the answers generally. And it's a great reference point. So just really encourage everyone listening to look at that website and bookmark it. And if you've got a question, best place to go.
Okay, awesome. So what I'm going to do?
The other thing is stay safe, and look out for your family, your friends, your neighbours. Give them a call. It's a really important thing to do.
So what I'm going to do after I finish with the video, upload it on all the social medias and YouTube, I will leave your contact details in the description. If someone wants to get in touch, or if someone
more than happy to help.
To ask about who is the captain of that street or the other street, so they can.
We can, more than happy to assist in terms of pointing people in the right direction. And providing the best advice possible, but acknowledging that it might change within the next 5 minutes.
Yes. Okay, Simeon. Thanks for your time, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you, Vess. Keep in touch.
Thank you. Talk soon.